Rolling, and we're on, Brad.
Thank God.
Fuck it, this is how we're going to start it. All right. So I'm Aaron Bratcher. This is Ask Backwards Films podcast. At least that's what we're calling it for now until we come up with something more clever. Our guest today is Brad Raylend, author of Same Self and writer of many movies that I am going to make. So, say hello, Brad.
How's it going?
So today we're going to talk about, let's get into your future projects and what you have going on.
Not including the stuff I'm doing for you. I'm currently working on my next novel, which was going to be titled Undertow. That's probably going to change now, but basically it's a detective crime thriller, very reminiscent of classic film noir in terms of how I describe the visuals and the characters and stuff like that. But with this new script that I'm writing for you, which kind of ties into the same universe, I'm probably going to combine the two stories into one now, which will give more length to the original, and I think it'll benefit the story overall.
Sweet. And what exactly is the... can you give me like a brief synopsis of the one that you're writing for me?
Yeah, so as of now we're calling it Bereavement, and basically it's about a private investigator who is hired by a woman who believes her husband was actually murdered, but according to the police report, he committed suicide. So she hires him to look into his death, and this leads to them uncovering kind of an urban legend serial killer, and there's also kind of a supernatural element to the story if you're observant. But awesome. We won't go into that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get on to today's first topic, which is, the topic of today is superhero movies. So let's go over the good and the bad of what's going on today. So can you tell me, we'll just talk briefly about Infinity War, what you thought about it. I think that's the latest one, or if you saw the new Ant-Man.
I did not see the new Ant-Man. Typically, I don't like seeing sequels to comedies, which I pretty much classify the first Ant-Man as a comedy. It was enjoyable, but, it wasn't anything special. And I heard some pretty crappy things about it, so I'm probably not going to go see it. Infinity War, though, was actually the first, I think besides Iron Man, the first Marvel movie that really left me, had me spend the night after seeing it and, the following day still thinking about it, which I think a really good movie tends to do, thinking about the consequences and some of the things that unfold. And yeah, I think that's probably the deepest Marvel movie they've made, which
no, I would absolutely agree.
Think they were able to do.
No, I will say it's my favorite Marvel movie so far, and next to, let's say, like Civil War and The Winter Soldier.
Yeah, those are good.
Other than that, yeah, the rest are they're all
forgettable.
Forgettable at worst, we'll say, or passable. Yeah, they're all just passable films.
Yeah, they're easy. They know the formula for a successful movie that's going to make a lot of money, and they just keep riding that one out.
I think, but what Infinity War proved was, they could do this team up so well. There's 30 main characters in that, and they were all given the proper amount of screen time, and I actually cared for all of them. Where Justice League had 5 characters, and I pretty much didn't care for anybody. So
Well, I wouldn't quite say that. I thought, and I didn't think I was going to, but I liked Aquaman. I thought he had that kind of rock and roll attitude type persona going on, and like when he's sitting on the Batmobile and he's sitting on the lasso, like that was a good scene, and his interactions with the Flash were funny.
No, there's little gems in there, and I overall I think the movie is as enjoyable as your normal,
as any of the Marvel movies. Yeah,
as your normal, not your great Marvel movie, but your normal Marvel movie.
Yeah,
but I think DC should mainly just stick to solo films, because I believe we had talked about it earlier, and what we had said was DC really shines when they're doing solo films, like Man of Steel and Wonder Woman. Emotionally carry me so much more than any Avenger, we'll say Marvel. Good Lord, Marvel solo film. And
yeah, definitely.
So I'm greatly looking forward to Aquaman and Shazam.
When, like in Man of Steel, when what do they call it? The World
Engine, World Engine.
Yeah, like when that thing was wreaking havoc, I actually felt like, like there's casualties being sustained, and the world's actually in jeopardy, and
it wasn't like a city in Russia being lifted off the ground by rockets.
Or like in the first Avengers, where you get these very PG cartoony aliens that seem pretty incompetent and can't really do anything right. And then with Wonder Woman at near the climax of the film, like you really, by then you're invested in the characters. And
to the romance in there, I actually was really into the romance in that movie, where off the top of my head right now, I can't really think of any Marvel romance that I cared about. Maybe Hulk Black Widow, but that has gone nowhere.
No.
So.
I didn't know, dude. That felt so shoehorned. Like, where did that come from? I thought she was into Captain America.
Yeah,
and then out of nowhere she.
Yeah, that's true. They built up so much chemistry in Winter Soldier, and when they had to fake that kiss and everything, it was like, this would be a really cute couple. And now, all of a sudden she's with Mark Ruffalo.
I never understood that. That came out of nowhere. I thought then in the comics it was Captain America and Black Widow, wasn't that a thing?
I have no idea.
Yeah, so it's probably not good that we're not well versed in the lore or the source material.
Well, at least in Marvel.
Marvel, yeah.
I think we're.
I
I know the gist of what happens in Marvel. Like, if you ask me who anybody is, I can tell you, where they came from, or who they associate with. But I don't really. I'm not into the relationship details.
Which is probably a little biased when it comes to how much we're picking on Marvel. Cause,
oh no, I'm a DC fanboy for sure.
Yeah,
but I have to admit, Marvel does make. Overall, they make across the board decent to good movies, where DC's been all over the place. Like when Suicide Squad first came out, I was into it. I was like, that's a great movie. I don't know what everybody's talking about. And then I watched it again, and then it was like, it's kind of edited like shit. And then I come to find out that they had a trailer house who cuts movie trailers actually edit that movie.
Oh, man.
That's why it's so choppy and gross looking.
Yeah, and had all the music in it. That makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah. So, I don't know whose decision that was, but...
Well, it seemed like initially it was going to be something dark and gritty. Like when that first trailer came out and it had that, that real, eerie theme to it, and everything was in slow motion. Like, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And then, but even the Bohemian Rhapsody preview, that was cool too.
Yeah.
But they just made it too lighthearted.
No,
this is...
It was a response with the reshoots, I guarantee it.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately. We're talking about part of your segue here was to get into the downfall or where we're currently at. And basically what I think is the problem is DC took the hard route, and that's to make dark, controversial films. And by doing that, you're immediately, eliminating a huge portion of your audience, because most people just want to go to a movie, be happy with what they see, be entertained, and walk out.
Well, most people are dumb. Most people are bad at watching movies.
Yeah, like they're not going to really, get into the deeper elements of the characters and things like that. They just want to be entertained. And a movie like Batman v Superman that's got like all these different layers and things going on, and it's like stories within stories, and I don't know, they must have just seen where it was going. They're like, well, it's not picking up as enough traction for where we want to be, so we just got to follow Marvel. And so then they started making all the lighthearted crap, started making Batman a goober,
telling jokes, and something's definitely bleeding,
getting shoved by Wonder Woman and stuff. Like,
yeah,
Batman.
Yeah.
the real Batman would never allow that to happen.
Well, dude, he's so scary and powerful in Batman vs Superman. He's a literal force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
Like, Superman doesn't want to fight him because he's just. I mean, yeah, if I was Superman and I'm looking at this dude who's clearly insane and he's just such an intense guy, I'd be like, I don't want to mess with that guy. Like, he's got enough.
No.
So, like, yeah, then you get to Justice League and he's like shaving with Gillette razors and telling quips. And no, I absolutely agree with you on Batman vs Superman, where I think it is. I mean, it's not what people wanted. People didn't want to go to a Batman Superman like fight team up movie, and they weren't expecting like Citizen Kane, which it's not that. It's trying to be.
Yeah. It leaves you with that like bittersweet feeling that you don't go to a superhero typically to feel that way when you come out. Like, I remember coming out of Batman v Superman the first time I saw it, and just like I was confused. Like, I didn't know what to feel about it. And I think any movie with Superman in it probably shouldn't leave you feeling that way. I think Batman could. I think they could make a really good Batman movie that is at that level where it's dark and brooding, and by the end of it, it's not really a happy ending.
No, there is one. It's called Dark Knight.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's a great film. And Batman's like one of the few comic book characters where you can do that. But no, man, like you got. Not that this was a fault of the movie or a negative part of the movie, but Batman kicking the crap out of Superman and Superman dying.
I did like Superman's death sequence, and maybe that's just me because I'm so visually into it because I'm a director, but like, it was beautiful, but that movie is so much deeper than it needed to be, and I absolutely love that, and I loved the risks it took. It was a brave movie, and it had a lot of balls to do what it did, and like how it traversed from all these different stories. The thing I absolutely don't like about that movie, which I love that movie, but I don't like Doomsday. Like that's where they were like, oh yeah, we need a Marvel fight in here. So they threw in some real Marvel-y stuff in there, which I didn't particularly like. But other than that.
Yeah, that's definitely the low point. And then, there is some messy stuff going on in there, but in terms of storytelling, and it goes some places that it doesn't need to go. And even the spear thing, like he throws the spear, then he has to go get the spear. Then throws the spear in the water, and like, it's just like somewhere along the line, like,
hey man, just have him hold on to it.
Like he keeps it, it gets knocked out of his hand. The Superman picks it up and kills the guy with it. Like,
it's real screenwritery. Like, all right, well, Batman can't have it right here, otherwise he would just go up and kill Doomsday, or Superman would know, like, oh yeah, we could just pitch this thing at this guy. Speaking of which, I never even thought of that. Superman's all powerful. Why couldn't you just pick up this kryptonite spear and just
throw it,
javelin it into him?
Well, then you couldn't get that awesome fly into it screaming.
Yeah, which Henry Cavill's so good at screaming in these movies.
He is. He actually is.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. But then they were like, crap, this movie didn't make a lot of people happy, so now we got to make fucking cheesy ass Justice League and put Batman in such bright light that you can see the eyeliner, you know?
Yeah, and you can see the seams in his suit, and that Ben Affleck is definitely in reshoots right now because he's quite literally bulging out of the suit.
Fat face, yeah.
His chin's bubbling out of the suit.
God damn it.
Yeah, and they spend too much time. Like, Batman should be a side character. I will liken Batman to, like, Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, I mean, in which you can make a good solo Batman movie, unlike Doctor Strange. Like, Doctor Strange's movie is serviceable. It's fine. I like it. But when Doctor Strange was in Infinity War, I literally wanted to see that character more than anybody else because he was so interesting to me. And I think Batman should be that same thing. If you are going to do a team-up movie, which I think DC should not do, they should stick to solo movies, and they can have, if they want to do Man of Steel, and Lex Luthor's too smart for Superman, he's like, well, let me call up my friend, and he calls up Batman, and Batman's like, you have Batman show up in a cameo, call Superman at the climax of the movie, be like, I figured it out.
Well, I always had a problem with that from the get-go, starting in Batman v Superman, that Batman's the one trying to put this team together. Like, that was never how it was in the comics. Like, the Justice League formed, and then, Batman's like the prick in Gotham who they kind of seek out because they need his help on certain things.
I mean, there is a dramatic...
And he's an outsider.
There's a dramatic and, like, there's a nice arc to that, though, which they didn't really pull it off, but, like, the fact that he's semi-responsible for killing Superman, and then that he feels so responsible, he's like, I gotta do this, and, so there is a nice little arc in there. They just didn't pull it to its fruition. Nothing came to its fruition. There's a nice arc with Superman from the 3 movies. You have Man of Steel, where he's having to accept his powers, and then by the ending, he is Superman. And then you have Batman vs Superman, where he sees the repercussions of his powers. And then you're supposed to have Justice League, where he is Superman. He knows what he's doing now, and that's when his music finally comes back and all this stuff. But then he's he's not really in the movie enough, which is, I will say the coolest part about that movie is when he's evil and he's kicking the shit out of the Justice League.
That's the best part of the movie.
By far. Even Themyscira didn't feel as cool as it did. Like in Wonder Woman, you see Themyscira, and there's like this nice aesthetic to it, and it feels like a lived-in place. But all of a sudden, the Justice League, it just shows up there, and you're like, this looks like shit. Like, I don't feel like I live here. There's big sprawling open fields just for like...
very much green screen.
Yeah, like why couldn't...
They couldn't get an open field?
Like why shoot that in an open field with mountains? I don't know.
God damn it, man. Yeah. Such a disappointment.
I think I'm really looking forward to Aquaman. I mean, James Wan's a great director. He knows how to direct action. We've seen that in Fast 5. He's also, look at The Conjuring. There's some shots in there and some actual good storytelling stuff. I mean, he's responsible for so many ongoing series. Like, James Wan knows how to direct a movie. So I'm looking forward to that, optimistically hesitant, we'll say.
Well, I think, and we were talking about this earlier, because of how different Aquaman is from the rest of the superheroes that we've seen up until this point, I think the movie has potential just because it could have that, like, Iron Man thing to it, where it's like it's untapped potential, and you're getting to see this whole new world, this character that people aren't very familiar with, because before Iron Man, no one gave a crap about Iron Man, and now he's like the centerpiece of Marvel. He's not that that's going to happen with Aquaman, because I'm pretty sure Superman and Bats will always be the key figures, but I think it's good that they're finally going to explore some of these lesser known characters. And, Aquaman's got a lot of cool lore behind him. And just the setting itself underwater, there's a lot of things you could do with that. Plus the set photos look really cool.
Yeah, and I'd say almost the same thing for Shazam, because that has, which I'm hoping they go this way, it's like, which I'm pretty sure they will, just from the set photos that they've released this week with, it looks like big with a superhero, and people are always bitching about the costume in that movie, but it's like you got to figure this is a kid, and I hope he kind of gets to design his own costume because that's the way it would look like. Reason it would look like that, but it's such a lighthearted movie, and from the advertising so far, I think it's kind of starting to like trying to make fun of superheroes, but not in the Deadpool way, where it's just like shameful and let me just say a joke about superheroes. Ha, that's funny. Like, hopefully it's kind of in a clever way. It can kind of spoof what it's actually doing.
If they just stop with the trying to tie all these things in together and just start making good movies, good stories, I think they'll do fine. I mean, DC has, in my opinion, better characters.
No,
Marvel's characters are, I think they're all a little, for the most part, they're too far-fetched. They're, I don't know, it's just not as gritty and...
Well, they're not as human.
Yeah. They're not as believable. I mean, even with the DC movies, like, I can believe that the world that they're in, and you can see it with, like, the technology of, like, the military stuff going on around it. It's more authentic, whereas in the Marvel movies, they got, like, laser guns and all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Crap, what were we talking? Where was this going?
I don't even remember.
We were talking Shazam.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I think it has the potential of being, like, big with a superhero and kind of having a Spielberg-y feel to it. As long as it's, like, this lighthearted movie and I think they spent, like, $60 million on it, which sounds like a lot, but for a superhero movie, that's quite a little. And I'm hoping that it's a contained little superhero movie about this kid in his hometown hanging out at his 7-Eleven and stuff with his best friend, but he's a superhero. And maybe obviously some bad guys are going to show up. And, but I hope it stays very small in his little town of wherever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it seems like these set photos always are the things we want to see, and then when the movie comes out, it's, like, why can't you just stick to that? Like, when the first image of Ben Affleck standing next to the Batmobile came out, it's like, wow, like, this is going to be the greatest thing ever.
Well, he did come to fruition. He is, like, my favorite Batman so far. Well, at least in that movie.
Well, I didn't like him killing people. That ruins the character for me.
I mean, I'm open to it because I like seeing it because it's cool as hell, but it is, like, so against the character. But, I mean, it was cool.
like some of... If you... Like, him kicking the dude who drops the grenade, like, that's cool. But him just straight up shooting dudes with the Batmobile's guns? Like, why didn't he just go into that warehouse with an M4 and frag grenades? He was just going to shoot people, It compromises the character, I think. I mean, that's some of the coolest fight scenes I've ever seen in a movie.
Oh, yeah, that warehouse, for sure. No, it felt
between the warehouse and then that apocalyptic injustice scene, like, that was cool too. Well, even though he's shooting dudes
in the face with a scar.
Yeah.
I like the Superman fight too. I like the aesthetic of it, and like.
When the movie is what as advertised, it's great. It's just all the other crap that they had to throw in there because someone was clearly under a lot of pressure, probably, to include a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for today. Where else can we go? I think we summed it up. We clearly love DC more than Marvel, but Marvel's doing a better job.
Yeah, they're not. Marvel's pretty much. They've done it.
Yeah,
they got to put the cherry on top with this last Avengers film they come out with. And,
I mean, I don't know if
anything set for life.
I don't know if anything can top Infinity War, but I don't know. It was just so awesome.
I don't know. I mean, if they actually do commit to killing some characters, I think it'll carry weight to it. But as of now, like, the moment Black Panther turned to ash. I'm like, oh no, they didn't kill these guys. They're all coming back. You're not going to kill Black Panther, who just made you a bunch of money. And
No, plus he's already slated to be in another movie, so is Spider-Man. Like they released their shooting dates before they even released the movie where everybody dies, supposedly.
yeah, that wasn't too smart, was it? They should have kept that on the down low.
Well, I think they probably did it for this reason. Just it's like, oh, okay, they're coming back. I mean, they've always had a problem with killing characters. Now they have a movie where they killed 20 of them, and they're like, yeah, we need to let everybody know that they're not really dead, though.
I mean, they could have killed Rhodey.
Oh, they could have killed him. Yeah, you could have killed...
No one gives a crap about that guy.
No, I don't. Yeah, no. I thought they were going to do it in Civil War when they crippled him. Why keep him alive? What does he do?
Yeah, just kill him. Just kill him.
You can kill him. You can kill Falcon. Like, well,
we're picking all the black
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. I was literally just as soon as I said Falcon, I was like, oh wow, that's gonna sound bad. You could kill Vision officially. Like they've never known what to do with him.
Yeah.
He could stay dead. You could kill Scarlet Witch, keep her dead.
Yeah. Scarlett Johansson's probably getting paid too much, or she's such a big name, they'd probably not kill her just out of principle, but you could kill her.
So what I think is what they're going to do is I think because now we're stuck with the original Avengers and Rocket Raccoon, so it didn't seem that way. And I think in this next movie, because Robert Downey Jr.'s contract's ending, I think so is Captain America's. I think everybody's contracts are ending, so I think they're going to like sacrifice themselves or just die, and then the guys all the new Avengers that all died are probably going to come back. I mean,
well,
I thought know they're going to come back, but
yeah, most of them are. I thought Downey Jr. straight up was going to die in the Infinity War.
I was hoping he would.
When he gets stabbed, I was like, oh man, like they killed the biggest name, and it was cool too. Like his armor was pretty much shredded off, and he was still fighting him. I thought that was a cool way for him to go, but nah, he's good. He's stabbed.
Yeah, he's fine.
No big deal.
He got to see Spider-Man go. That was heartbreaking. I didn't care about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care about Spider-Man, but that was pretty rough.
I didn't care about any of the deaths, so I was like, yeah, whatever. But then as soon as he was gone, I was like, no, he's just a child.
Well, the Black Panther one it surprised me. I thought it was going to be the chick that was going to disappear.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is no place to die. And then I was like, oh, him? I'm like, wow, I didn't think they'd do that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, where else can we go with this?
What are we at time-wise?
We're at 32 minutes plus the intro. So I think... Yeah, I mean, I think that wraps it up for today. So, thanks for listening to the Ask Backwards podcast, and Brad will be back with us for sure. So, we'll see you guys next week. Bye. All right, see ya.